Alright guys, thank you so much for joining me. I'm Jonathan Mills Patrick. This is my 6th lesson in my series, What Investors Are Looking For. I'm rolling with my CodeWorks shirt today from the Knoxville Entrepreneur Center. I've been a mentor with that program for, well, this is the first year that it happened, and it was a very enjoyable experience, so I wanted to go ahead and represent a little bit today. In this series, What Investors Are Looking For, we've talked about a variety of things. I'll hit them real quick, and then we'll get into today's topic. The investors are looking for things like a team that can execute a business plan. That was the very first thing we talked about, and in fact, it's one of the most important things that investors look for in a startup that they're going to put money into. Investors also look for good ideas that solve a problem. They look for things like intellectual property. They look for market size and market share, and they look for barriers to entry to keep competitors out of doing what you're doing. Now, there's nothing wrong with competitors, but too many competitors and the space gets a little crowded. So that creates an issue for your investors. Today, what we're going to talk about in this 6th lesson is skin in the game. It's one of my favorite topics when I talk to entrepreneurs and business people, is that you should have some skin in the game. So a little quick quiz. If you are funding a business, no matter how much funding is needed, who's the very first person you should look to fund that business? Well, a lot of people don't like this answer, but guess what, folks? You should look in the mirror to yourself to fund your business idea. Now, that's a tough one to swallow sometimes because people tell me, Jonathan, I don't really have any money to put into my business. Well, that's not true. Everyone has a few bucks to put into a business, whether that's $5 through Fiverr to get a logo done for your business, or even $1,500 to pay a qualified attorney to incorporate your business for you. Everyone can put some of their own capital at risk. So you should always be looking in the mirror at yourself as the very first funding source. And what this does for investors is it shows them that you are willing to put some of your own money at risk. Here's the biggest takeaway that I want you to remember. If you're not willing to risk some of your own money, why in the world should anyone else risk money on your business idea? No matter how much money it is, whether you have very little or a whole lot to put into your business, you should have some at risk as well when your investors do. The other thing this does for you, besides showing that you're serious about what you're doing to investors, is if you use some of your own capital to drive your startup forward, you're able to accomplish a lot of milestones and hopefully push the valuation of your startup or your business further and further up, so that when you do take on investors, you're able to get a better valuation. So investors love entrepreneurs that have some skin in the game. Now, real quickly, I'll touch on sweat equity. A lot of folks say, I don't have any money whatsoever to put into my business, but I'm willing to invest my time. Well, that's wonderful that you're willing to do that, and that certainly brings value to the equation. However, at the end of the day, money is more important than time when it comes to an investor's outlook. Don't get me wrong, I understand you're going to be putting a lot of energy into this, but money matters more to investors. So if you're putting in your time, don't expect that just by putting in your time and bringing on an investor that puts in X amount of capital, that you should be able to control more equity than they do. It could be the case, but it could be that investor requires more capital than you because they have technically a little bit more at risk. It's hard to get back your money. I understand it's hard to get back your time, but other than the time itself, there's no real hardcore financial loss. So money ends up playing a little bit of a bigger role. So investors love folks who have skin in the game. Make sure whatever it is you are able to offer to your startup, that you're using that skin in the game to matter and showing investors that you're serious about what you're doing. Now, if you love what you're seeing, I hope you tell your friends about it. And also make sure you're heading over to my website at jonathanmillspatrick.com/events to keep track of each event that I'm doing in this series. I look forward to connecting with you there. Thanks a lot. Have a great day. Good luck.